right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. Let's start the discussion on the state of the nation. Let me introduce my guest one more time. Honorable Edwin Sifuna is here, Senator for Nairobi. Asante for making time. Honorable Edward Muriu, Member of Parliament for Gatanga, is here. Asante sana for making time. And Honorable Geoffrey Ruku, Member of Parliament from Mbeere North. Thank you very much for making time.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, let's start off with the dailies. We see a lot of chaos at the airports yesterday. The strike has been called off. Paralysis as Adani was cut Kenya off. That's on the Standard. On the Daily Nation, it's chaos at airports. First of all, before we go and get into the nitty-gritty, Sifuna, what do you make of this standoff between the Kenya Airport Workers Association and the Adani deal?
I thank you for having me, Trevor. First of all, my view is that it didn't have to come to this. It didn't have to come to a point where the workers have to go to strike just so that they can get information about this proposed deal. You know, a few months back, we had the president saying when he was reconstituting his cabinet, he said that one of his problems is communication. I think he has a bigger problem because, from my perspective, the biggest problem is that the people don't trust his government. The government has a very serious deficit of trust. And therefore that nobody actually believes anything that anybody in government says. Trevor, I sit on the Senate Transport Committee. And in early August, when we first heard about this so-called privately initiated proposal, we wrote to the ministry and we summoned the cabinet secretary. At that time, we didn't have a cabinet secretary. So it was sent to Musalia Mudavadi, who was the only CS there. And our expectation was that he would present this documentation to Parliament so that we can also see what this so-called privately initiated proposal is. If you ask the average Kenyan on the streets, nobody believes that, in fact, that proposal was privately initiated. Many people suspect that Adani group, that idea originated here, and that they are only a front, you know, because there is zero trust amongst the people of Kenya, or when it comes to dealing with this government. One of the things that we have suggested in the Committee of Transport, and unfortunately we have not had, since the beginning of August, we have not had opportunity to interrogate this proposal with the people in the ministry because they have never shown up. The last time I had the CS telling us that, you know, he had traveled and he has not been able to even submit those documents to the Transport Committee. Perhaps if they had done that, and members of Parliament have gone through this deal, they would be able to explain to the public. All these people wanted was information about this deal. So one of the gaps we have identified, Trevor, this air of secrecy when it comes to deals such as this is part of a problem. We need, under the regime of public-private partnerships, to have a requirement for disclosure. If Ruku receives a proposal that is privately initiated, what is his responsibility then to the public? He should be able to disclose that, by the way, this week we have received X number of privately initiated proposals, so that it is not a whistleblower coming to tell the nation that, by the way, your airport is being sold. You know, so it didn't have to come to this, and we have to relook at our laws. We have to have a requirement for public disclosure of all of these proposals and investments. And lastly, Trevor, let it be, you know, if your policy is that you're going to lean heavily on private investment, make it known to the public. I am telling you, it's just because there is a serious deficit of trust in this government. Otherwise, if you had an open government, a government that the people trust, and a government that comes and tells the Kenyan people that we are going to lean heavily on the private sector to develop our infrastructure, and you put it out there and let people bid openly and say we want to do this project for Kenya, then there would be less mistrust.
So even as a transport committee, you have no idea what is
as I speak today. In fact, yesterday I saw and credit to the unions and credit to Atwoli for having been able to succeed in extracting these documents. I heard him say that now finally they have those documents. We have written these letters, and I'll share them with you at the beginning of August, requiring that these documents, the entire proposal, be brought before Parliament, at least to us at the Transport Committee, so that we can also debate these issues from a point of knowledge, you know. But it has not happened.
Honorable Muriu, are you buying this argument from government that the only way to go is the PPP way, private-public partnership?
Allow me first and foremost to give my sympathy to the passengers, the sickly, the students, the fresh produce exporters who went through a lot of losses and inconveniences yesterday, purely for a mere mistake of failing to communicate to the public. Let me say this, maybe just to answer your question. Wow, because of where this country is in terms of the debt levels, we cannot afford to go out and borrow a single cent to expand our airport despite the demand outside there. However, there are many ways of skinning a cat, especially when it comes to public issues like those ones, which already generate revenue. And one of it is to roll out international tender to ensure that at least even if we bring in a foreign investor, the value proposition is well laid out. And secondly, in terms of what they're coming to do is well established, because we already have Terminal 1. We are not hearing that they're coming to do a Terminal 2, Terminal 3, Terminal 4. They are not coming. We are not here where they're going to come to do another runway or the third runway or the fourth runway. That is clouded in secrecy. And I also want to say, even in Parliament, that issue has not been brought to Parliament for purposes of disclosure. Yeah. So it's not only the Senate which is in the darkness. Even Parliament itself is in the darkness. Actually, by the beginning of our recess, yeah, I wrote a letter to the committee to request for a statement on these Adani issues. And I think, despite we can get out of value, yeah, from foreign investors for either for public or private initiated proposals to come and put up national infrastructure. Mm-hmm. However, Kenyans, as we know very well, and it's clear, there is what you call the trust deficit. Yeah. And therefore, the government ought to have done it in a better way. Even yesterday, we in our subgroup, were in the cabinet secretary. I even asked the CS cabinet secretary, Chirchir, this is not a matter we can go anywhere and come and defend. Mm-hmm. It is a matter which, first and foremost, is surrounding in secrecy. Mm-hmm. It looks like a personal deal, and I think those times and days have gone. Remember, we had another con people who came and we gave them our railway, which was very operational. The private group and this kind of thing. What happened? They came. They spotted the opportunity. Yeah. They sold the stocks and this kind of thing. And Kenya Railway was left as a shell. So my opinion is that we need to come up with what you call a public. An international tender to bring in investors to do this thing, as opposed to what you're doing right now. And okay, this Adani thing, I think, is going nowhere.
Okay, Ruku, is this just an issue of trust deficit, or is this just a bad deal?
I think communication is a big problem. The government is still not getting it right as far as communication on what is the programs and projects the government is trying to implement, whether PPP way or even it's on its own fruition, on its own finances. No one has been able to be well briefed as far as Adani deal is concerned, whether in Parliament. I have seen a feasibility study which was conducted by the Adani Group as far as the airport is concerned. Yeah. No doubt that we need to expand our airport. We need to have another terminal. JKIA is one of very busy airport within the region, and it's a very prime, what I may say, a very prime real estate. We can be able to generate huge amount of revenues from this investment. But anything which government is trying to do, it should be communicated properly. Yeah. There should be no secrecy as far as construction of this airport is concerned. Okay. Whether it's the government is doing it directly using its own sources, or whether it is the investment from other international groups or international companies. Let us be able to know the nitty and gritties of what this PPP entails or the contract entails. And I think the strategic planning involves the external environment and the internal environment. We are seeing the employees are not happy as far as, so we need proper consultation, we need proper communication internally and externally. We have, what is happening is we are here saying that we don't have information as external consumers, as very important, very key policy makers of this nation. Okay, but also the internal employees, also they don't have proper information as far as the deal is concerned. So I think whoever is responsible for this should come out clearly and say what it involves. Actually, I think, Trevor, it's high time you call them to come here and explain to public what this deal is all about. Nobody seems to understand. And if there's a deal which is disadvantaging the country, the nation, the people of Kenya, we should reject it. And if it is good enough, then let us be told how good it is, and then we can support.
And Sifuna, I see the letter you wrote here, and it's asking quite a number of questions. Confirm whether Kenya Airports Authority has even entered a deal with Adani to begin with, provide the contract documents, state whether tendering process was conducted, provide details of the contract between Kenya Airports Authority and the Spanish firm, submit notices of meetings, state whether government is going to avail the free land for the company. But with all these questions in mind, is the PPP the way to go or not?
No, you see, let me tell you first, like Honorable Muria said, the era where you do things expecting that people will just follow you or people believe that you have their best interests is gone. Every time you make a public policy decision, and that is a requirement of Article 10, you must involve the people. You must carry the people from the beginning. If your policy is that you're going to lean heavily on private sector to develop infrastructure in the country, that policy has to be developed in step with the Kenyan people. Let the Kenyan people themselves tell you that, okay, we have these challenges, raising resources for infrastructure construction, and we think that we can leverage the private sector. Carry the people along. And you see, even for me, it is very frustrating because, Trevor, as you know me, it is very difficult for me to explain or discuss something that I have not seen, which is why it was critical. We wanted these documents to come from the government itself, not something that I can pull out today and then somebody comes and says, oh, Sifuna, where did you get these documents? We wrote officially, and you can see this letter that I have sent you is dated the 6th of August. We are even asking, as members of parliament, for a copy of the privately initiated proposal to be given to us. This is not how it is supposed to be run. If you saw what Davis Chirchir tried to do yesterday, immediately he tried to tell the workers that, oh, you know, the cabinet has the best interest of the people. The people told him, Yoni Wongo, because nobody trusts this government. It is just that straightforward. So we need to carry people along. Every single policy proposal you have, carry the people along. Personally, if you ask me, we need to change the regime so that we require disclosure. If you are the management of KA, if you are the management of Kenya Railways, and somehow somebody sneaks a privately initiated proposal like this one, within 3 days you should tell the country that somebody has sent me this email and provide those documents for people to look at and carry the people along all those stages. By the way, you know it is former CS Murkomen who told the country that once he's in government he will give us the contract for the SGR. Up to today, he has never provided that contract, even to members of parliament. This is the sort of environment we are operating in, and it is very, very frustrating to individual Kenyans that you have to shut down your international airport so that people listen to you. And the people at the airport, all they are concerned to know is because there are rumors. And by the way, this whistleblower, I heard about this Adani deal first through Senator Onyonka, who is the person who actually charged our committee with getting him this formal document so that nobody can accuse him of coming up with his own documents, you know. So these people, one of the allegations that we had was that the Adani group was going to renegotiate people's contracts, and there were fears of job losses, and those are not idle fears. Because remember, Trevor, during the construction of the SGR, we saw foreigners doing very mundane jobs that Kenyans can do. So I don't fault the the people of Kenya for being suspicious. This trust deficit was not lost in a day. It is our behavior as leadership over a long period of time, starting with these projects. Yeah. And everybody just knows. And there are also questions about even the integrity and the capacity of this company to be able to do this job. All these things would not be happening if you carry the people along at the initiation of these policy decisions.
Okay. But Muriu, is 270 billion and 30 years lease of the airport, is it value for money? In as much as, yes, you don't have the details, but what we know on face value is that they're supposed to pump in 270 billion shillings, upgrade the runway, build another terminal, all that. Is it value for money for leasing the airport for a 30-year period?
No, Trevor, whenever you want to get a fish, you use a bait. The 270 billion is thrown out there like a bait, so that maybe they can bring the public and assume, yes, the 270 billion will come in. And that goes against the spirit of Article 69 on public participation. You know, when we were drafting this constitution, we knew for sure there is a trust deficit in every subsequent government. And the way to show back or to push back the trust is to ensure that the public have extreme discourse on matters public. And I'm one of the proponents of the principle that we are out there as leaders, not for our own benefit, but for the benefit of the country and the 50 million Kenyans. And therefore, if the 50 million Kenyans are telling you as a leader, you are out of order, you may want to throw that 270 billion to hoodwink me without giving me the details on how that money will come in, how to help me on my day-to-day, then we are out of order as leaders and as a government. And therefore, my view here is that this transaction, and I use the word, is null and void, ab initio, is null and void from the beginning, because it won't even see the light of the day. Yeah. Today, Trevor, we are struggling with Article 69 of the Constitution, public participation. Even the Supreme Court right now is trying to ask the question, how much public participation is adequate? Yeah. What is this entails, public participation? And the court has declared, which has not been challenged, that Article 69 is not a flaw in the Constitution. The public discourse must be held, and public must be satisfied, including, even if you don't take their opinion, you must come out and answer and tell them why you did not pick in their contribution. Okay. You can't just wish them away. And I said this, as a lawyer, even if, say, for example, they try to sign it behind our backs, the parliament is there to say no. The courts, even by the time you get to the door of our courts, this thing will be kicked off because of lack of public participation. So for me, there are better ways of doing it. From where we are, and if you've seen what Bore Airport in Ethiopia have done, you've seen what the Rwandese are doing. You have even seen, there are even studies in India how they have been able to privatize their airports, and they become very, very extremely viable. But were they done through a PPI? Were they doing a private initiative? I don't think so. It's an international tender. Then you get it is put on the table, and we're able to extrapolate the actual values from this. Otherwise, from where we are, I'll tell you, Trevor, this thing is things to the high heavens.
Okay, but Ruku, this trust deficit that we all agree on here, the people themselves don't have that even with Parliament. Can they trust you that when you get the documents, you'll be out there to defend their rights and stand with them at the time of need? Because you saw even the way they reacted to the CS Davis Chirichir when he said that cabinet has the best interest of Kenyans at heart. Can they trust you to be objective with this, or will you be whipped to State House and will decide to pass it and start singing the chorus that this is a fantastic deal because now you've been told that it is a good deal?
I think Parliament passes bills. It doesn't pass such kind of policy document. I think what Parliament can do is to invite the Cabinet Secretary in charge of this matter, who is now CS Chirichir, and ask all the relevant documents so that they can be scrutinized, whether they are contracts which have been signed. It is true we have not been able to, as a government, we has not been able to achieve much as far as PPP are concerned. I don't know whoever was a treasurer in charge of PPP docket. We have not seen many PPP projects being implemented across the country. I remember this time Minister of Water advertised on construction of dams through public-private partnerships. That process, I don't know how far it has gone. But the thing is, the trust of members of parliament and members of parliament is those who are in minority and those who are in majority side. And at the moment, as you know very well, and my brother Sifuna is here, that ODM is part of this government as we are speaking. So anything that will be brought to us as members of parliament, we will look at it and objectively tell Kenyans whether it is good or not. You know, whether we are called for consultation in State House or not, we ask very cutting questions and we will remain truthful to our oath of office. Defending the interests of this nation, defending the interests of the people who elected us. So I think we will be very honest and candid as far as this issue is concerned on matters Adani, once we have full information. But as we are saying, let there be proper communication. Let's not do things in secrecy. Those employees at the airport, they need to be sure that they are not going to lose their jobs because of an agreement between government and Adani. Okay. So we must do public service in the most prudent manner. The managers in charge, the CS in charge, the PS in charge of this docket must know is not doing a private business, is doing a public affair. And we need to understand each and every aspect of this so that everybody can be comfortable that it's safe, the jobs are safe. We are not going to get someone or a company which is going to come and step over the rights of Kenyans. We are not going to mortgage our very prime real estate for, I don't know, 30 years, as I've heard on the media. Let us know what is in it for us. And is it a must that we have to go through Adani way?
There are many other options.
Rwanda is a very small economy. And at the moment, they are constructing a very huge airport on their own. So I think also it is true we have challenges as far as revenues of this nation is concerned. But probably we can postpone the construction of the airport and with 1 year or 2 years, and when we are in a position to get our own sources of revenues or proper structured deal, we can move forward and come up with ways of expanding this our airport. Which we surely need to.
Sifuna, is ODM in government?
First of all, Ruku knows that he cannot speak for me. As SG of ODM, I know where the party is. Before we started this conversation, we were having tea in a small room at the back there. And I admitted to him that Mount Kenya politics is very complex to me. So when we come to discussing Mount Kenya politics, I let him speak because he is the person who comes from there. On ODM and where we are, Ruku, allow me to educate you on where we are. We are not part of your government. We are not part of your government, and you are trying to drag us into all this mess because nobody asked ODM whether we should mortgage our airport. Did you come to Orange House to ask us about this? This is a policy proposal by the Kenya Kwanza government. What I have discovered, Trevor,
Kenya
and what
Kwanza
I know,
ODM government.
just a minute. The public has no trust in any one of us. I can tell you that for free. All of us, even in Parliament, we have lost the trust of the people. That is just the honest truth. The misbehavior of one cabinet secretary or even one member of Parliament, it paints all of us in bad light. In fact, we have a responsibility as leaders to speak to each other. If you see a senator saying, overlapping in traffic, and then she's taking videos of that same illegal act and she's posting. She casts all of us as members of parliament in bad light. So we have a situation where, for instance, Trevor, when Kenyans told us that they were opposed to the finance bill, and I'm happy that Murio is here and is saying you must listen to the people. We are the party that listen to the people, but nobody remembers that. Now we are lumped in together because of the misbehavior of other members of parliament who refuse to listen to the people. We in ODM, by the way, you remember there was a proposal by cabinet to privatize our parastatals without parliamentary oversight. That fear that you have that people will be whipped manifested itself that, in fact, it was members of the National Assembly themselves, and I'm sure Ruku was one of them, who stripped themselves as representatives of the people of the power to oversight national government, to look into these proposals, such as this Adani deal, Ruku. If we go to the Hansard, we will find that you voted to strip yourself as a representative of the people of ability to be able to look into all these proposals to privatize sugar mills, to privatize parastatals. It happens. So Trevor's fears are not idle fears. We are not trusted by the public. This is something we have to admit, because it has been a journey. It didn't happen overnight that people woke up and said, by the way, Trevor, if the people did not make noise on this Adani deal, I can assure you that it would have been signed. We would have woken up and this is something that has been done, because it has happened with other projects, including the example that I've given you of the SGR. Leaders lead. What I want you to understand, Trevor, is that we do not fear explaining things to the people. But if you don't carry the people with you from the beginning, it becomes very difficult for me to explain to the people the benefits of a project, because, as he said, you must have robust conversation about proposals that affect all of us. The airport in Nairobi does not belong to the people of Nairobi. It belongs to everyone, including the Mogoka farmers that he represents. So it is a national issue. Have conversations with everyone. Let people debate the pros and cons of this and give examples of where these people have done similar business. Yeah. Other airports, how is Heathrow managed? How are the airports in the US managed? How is Dubai managed? All these conversations, if you have with the people, I will not have a problem coming to explain to you the benefits of PPPs. We have seen construction of the expressway in Nairobi. It is a privately built road. And it is there and it works. It was constructed in record time and people use it even up to today. So the question is not whether it's a good deal or not. The process is the most important thing. And as it is right now, I can tell you nobody wants this deal because it stinks. They have failed the test of the process. Okay. So we have to be able to be honest with each other. That it is not even just parliament people don't trust. By the way, by the time the airport workers were closing down the airport, protesting this deal, even our courts had issued an injunction against signing or going through with this deal. Okay. But the workers still feel that they are not protected. They must do something themselves. Yeah. It is a problem with all our institutions. Do people have faith in the executive? Do people have faith in the legislature? Do people have faith in court orders? They don't. But are you concerned that you're all lumped together as government? It is concerning. It is very concerning. Let me just answer that. It is very concerning, and I know why they are doing that. Why? I know why they are doing that, because at the end of the day, if we are all painted as bad people, then we are in the same basket there, and you know, they curtail even our progress as leaders in this country. We are not in the same basket. Do I look like Ruku? Do we look like we're in the same basket?
But Trevor, this is a very serious matter. The truth of the matter, at the moment, we have Kenya Kwanza ODM administration, because the CS in charge of Treasury, he was chairman of ODM. The CS in charge of energy and petroleum, he was the leader of minority in parliament. Oparanya is in charge of Asra's fund. Anything matters Asra's fund today is Oparanya, a very senior member, former member of ODM, and I think still member of ODM. He was the vice deputy leader, I think. The party leader. Okay. So the thing is, Trevor, I know Sifuna will not want to accept this, but the truth of the matter is that we have Kenya Kwanza ODM administration at the moment, and we are very happy to have such kind of an administration. And where we are consulting widely, where matters finance at the moment, is ODM business, so that we can be able to run this government in the most appropriate way, and all Kenyans can feel represented. And that's why the president came up with a term, a broad-based government, where Sifuna is fully represented in that broad-based government. Okay. And this is the way we are going to move forward.
Okay, Murio,
I think we have a business to carry the entire of the Republic of Kenya moving forward.
Okay.
And I know it is very easy for someone to castigate, to say this and the other is banned, this and the other is banned. And that is what Sifuna is fighting it a bit very difficult at the moment.
There's no
to say that his brother C.S. Bandi is on the wrong. Okay. When he's a guy who they have worked together for years.
Trevor, you will allow me to explain a few things.
So I think my brother, Sifuna, it is what it is. Let's move this nation together as a broad-based government.
I know you are desperate to push us into this.
I have to take a quick break, and Murio has not said anything. Let me take a commercial break and come back. Yes, I'll come back to that, and I'll also give Murio a chance when he come back to talk about this issue of Kenya Kwanza ODM government as well, and also the Mount Kenya politics. The Mount Kenya eastern side say they have their own title deed, and this is led by Ruku himself. We'll find out what that is all about. Also keep your views coming at Trevor Mbidi at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. We're back in just a moment.